All right, hey everyone, this is the non-calculator portion of your practice test. So we're gonna have some integrity here today, and we're gonna not use our calculator even though we're at home, okay? The first one, so 7, 8, and 9, we are going to be writing decimals as fractions. Remember that to write a decimal as a fraction, you are going to count the number of decimal places and put it over the appropriate power of 10. So 1 decimal place means 10, 2 decimal places means 100, 3 decimal places means 1,000, and you would keep going for the number of decimal places that you have. So for number 7, 0.17 is 2 decimal places, so it's going to be 17 over 100. 17 over 100 cannot be simplified any further, so 17 over 100 is the answer. In number 8, we are at 3 decimal places, so 0.008 is 3 decimal places, so that's going to be over 1,000. And I'm actually going to show 2 different ways to simplify this one, depending on who you are. So for me, I know that 8 and 1,000 have an 8 in common. So this is using the greatest common factor, getting there in one step. So 8 divided by 8 is 1, and then 1,000 divided by 8 is 125. If you didn't know that 8 and 1,000 had an 8 in common, you can simplify a little at a time. So, for example, I know that 8 and 1,000 are both even numbers, so they both have a 2 in common. So 8 divided by 2 is 4, and 1,000 divided by 2 is 500. Now when I look at 4 and 500, I know that those are both even, so I can divide by 2 again. 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 500 divided by 2 is 250. And then when I look at 2 and 250, again, I see that they're even. So I'm going to divide by 2 one more time, and I get 1 over 125. No way to do this is more right than any other way. So if you use the greatest common factor or if you don't, as long as you are simplifying completely, you are going to get the correct answer. For the last one, 3 and 13 100ths, I have 2 decimal places so that I know my 13 is going to be over 100. And the 3 that's in front needs to stay out front. So this is going to be 3 and 13 over 100. 13 over 100 cannot be simplified, so that one is done. Number 10, we are going to be writing fractions and decimals as percents. To write a fraction as a percent, I want to get the denominator to be 100. For the first one, I'm going to multiply by 2, because to get from 50 to 100, I'm going to multiply by 2. So 30 times 2 is 60. This is going to be 60%. For number 11, I cannot get from 60 to 100 right away. So I do have to scale backward in order to scale forward back to 100. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at what 33 and 60 have in common. They have a 3 in common. So I'm going to divide by 3 in both places. So I get 11 over 20. Now I can get from 11 over 20 to something over 100. I'm going to multiply by 5. And I get 55%. Okay, so from a fraction to a percent, I am going to get my denominator to be 100. To go from a decimal to a percent, I'm going to move the decimal 2 places to the right. So 1, 2, and I get 0.9%. Here I'm going to move it 2 places to the right. 1, 2, 134%. Okay, so for 12 and 13, to change a decimal to a percent, we're going to move the decimal 2 places to the right. For the next ones, we are going to be changing fractions and percents into decimals. For number 14, we are going to change the bottom into the easiest denominator as a power of 10. So I want to do 10, 100, 1,000, etc. For this one, I'm going to do 100 because 20 to 100 is the easiest. So I'm going to multiply by 5. 7 times 5 is 35. Remember from above that 100 means 2 decimal places, so 1, 2, and 3, 5 goes into those 2 spaces. To go from a decimal from a percent to a decimal, I'm going to move the decimal 2 places to the left. So I'm going to take this decimal and move it 1, 2 places to the left. I'm going to add that 0 in there. So this is going to be 0.0003. For 43 over 1,000, that's going to be 3 decimal places. So 1, 2, 3. And then my decimal needs to end with that 43. So 43, and I'm going to put a 0 in the blank space. And then from a percent to a decimal, I'm going to move the decimal 2 places to the left. So 4.537. Okay, so this is the non-calculator portion of your practice test. You should not have used a calculator on this portion. You are doing all the work by hand for these ones. Okay, if you have any questions, please let me know.